back on that cabin there where the 3-star, just to add a bit of length, went into that far field.
So he moves on, just trying to get your time. The intermediates at 6 minutes and 12.
Yeah, so 2 minutes less than you saw some of these other horses earlier in the day, and a few variables or variants on some of the lines, and I believe he'll be coming into the water that the 3-star did earlier in the day. See him jump the lifeguard house here.
Just that one stride on the terra firma before the fence in the water and out over the little wedge. Leslie riding pretty firmly cross-country with Countess Cooley. She's only 8, not got a great deal of experience under her belt, but she's done a couple of 1-stars in her time, but just an intermediate run to probably finish off the season.
Yeah, and you have a very experienced rider on her here, and you saw Leslie give that a fantastic ride. That, you know, when you saw people in the beginning of the day, that distance got quite tight for them, but Leslie finds a line where he stays out, so he doesn't actually have to alter the horse's step that much. Gives it a really good ride and quite a tidy, efficient turn on the backside. You see him just making his way through the trees to, I believe is the Tricaner, coming into the field closest to where we have the pavilion and the main Terra Nova stables, and it is just an absolutely beautiful picture as the sun is setting here.
I was just looking up Leslie's age.
Are you going to share it with the rest of our listeners here?
I don't know whether, because I know that both Leslie and Leslie watch this, and I know that he might punch me if I say how old he is. But let's say I was born in 1975 and I'm 48. And Leslie was born 10 years earlier.
You didn't say anything inappropriate. Now, if you did that to girl Leslie, she may punch you.
Yeah, exactly. So just coming down to the table and then goes off into the far corner. So that's at 16, the picnic table. Now to the Mimoxa and corner at 17AB before coming back to the bridge. These guys, I think, jumped the middle, which I was half expecting the 4-star to jump, actually, but the intermediates jumped the middle part of this bridge.
Which is funny because it's such a beautiful thing to get. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful jumps on the entire track, so it's too bad you don't get more pictures over it.
So just jumping the bridge, coming back now to the water. It's the root ball water, log and corner, 19A and B. And a different route again for these intermediate horses. Over the log, Leslie sits back, slips the reins, picks them up very quickly, back on the dry ground, and then the corner, right-handed corner, that done very nicely. And these, again, this fence comes up quite quickly, so you haven't got time to get back into your rhythm before you come up to the Mayaka Golf Club and tee rails.
Yeah, it's what you would call a very a slow part of the course. You know, you have to try, if you're going for time, which Leslie, you know, is going to be competitive, but give this horse a very educational round. It's somewhere where you wouldn't be seeing anyone go quick to try and make up valuable seconds.
And here we have at the first water, this is Connor Rollins from Fairburn, riding Prime Target, a 9-year-old 16-3 Irish sport horse. Connor, who jumps a super clear to rise from 6th to 5th in the show jumping. He jumped that clear. He starts on 36.2.
And this is a horse he's had for quite a bit at the level, and he's been busy as well with becoming a new father. We saw the mother of his child have a little bit of a stumble earlier, but that's part of the game when you're a team. You know, you never know what's going to happen, and the show has to go on. And you know, he's been partnered with this horse for a long time, and I've really enjoyed watching him produce it up through the levels.
Here's Britt as they gallop from one fence to another. They just jumped the first.
Going to the Tricaner.
Yeah, going to the Tricaner. Just looking at my screen, and Kyle Carter is our latest starter. Kyle with Hudson Street, an 11-year-old. We'll come back to him in just a second. We might get eyes on him.
You can see this is quite a good jumping horse and quite a careful horse. You see on the backside, the two of them get a little imbalance from each other, because a lot of times, even in this part of the course, when you have a careful horse, they really can get quite spooky, not at the jump themselves, but everything else you're going past. And you got all these palm trees blowing around, people all over the place, and it's totally another thing you have to really focus on as a rider.
Well, I'm afraid I lied like a cheap rug, because Carl Carter, we're not going to see Carl because he fell at the ditch and brush at 4.
Come on, Kyle. At least we wanted to see that. Hopefully he's just fine.
Yeah. So he fell at 4 as Connor Rollins nicely through this combination. And it's really nice here, isn't it? You can see that these two know each other very well, because he landed there, he moved the horse up a gear and just said, we need to make up that distance, landed a little bit quiet, and they trusted each other.
Yeah. Still jumping really well. Looks like he has his eyes on what's being set up to look like a spectacular concerted light show here we've been watching.
Lovely bold jump into the water. Again, lands a little bit quiet. Connor sits there and rides up to the corner out.
And you can see his trust in the partnership here, because he almost comes to that corner on a bit of a loose rein.
Nice feeling.
Takes a long time to train that into a horse. And some of them come naturally, and some of them, it takes a very long time to get them to figure out the game.
Yeah, I always liken it to not that I do much of this before I get into too much trouble, but holding a small child's hand. And, sometimes when you go to hold a child's hand, they're like, no, I don't want it. I don't want to hold it. But I do now, and horses can sometimes be like that as well.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Just to know, I don't go around holding small children.
Did Lucinda say she was going to take that one from you too?
No. So just leaving the start box, Ariel Gold and In Vogue. Well, these two, they jumped to super clear. And they led the dressage. They led after the first two phases and start on 30.8. Leslie Law, home. It says here 22 time penalties with Countess Cooley.
Which may be true. We saw him taking his time, giving it a more educational round, and the difference in the intermediate versus the 3 long is there's 2 less minutes to be able to make up that time. They have more efforts in a shorter space, so it actually makes it so it's harder to make time.
So Ariel Grohl, we see her jump that fence at Carl Carter Sadly Party Company with the horse that he was, Hudson Street, the horse that he was riding. And there, coming through the finish, his prime targets and Connor Rollins. Brilliant round for him. Be interesting to see his round, because they jumped a lovely clear in the show jumping. He's got one of those really economical, easy jumps, hasn't he?
No, a pleasure to watch that one.
So Ariel Grohls and In Vogue. This horse is owned by Claire Williams, a 7-year-old 16-2 Irish sport horse. The mare, In Vogue. She's not a very tall mare, is she? She's 16.2, but she's quite a little 16.2.
Yeah, and I know this horse originally maybe wasn't headed for her to ride. She's maybe schooling it, and I know that she was not the original jockey on it, but you see, I think it also looks little because you're used to seeing her on such big horses.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
And Ariel, she's slender, but she's very strong, very fit girl, and she is one of the hardest working people around you could possibly find.
Interesting, she's having a spin round the Open Intermediate. She's just looking at her record. She's had 2 wins at the 2-star level. She had a 4th at Bromont in the 2-star long, and then in the 2-star short at Bucart Farms just a few weeks ago. She finished 3rd in the 2-star. So just having a nice spin, because that was only at the end of October. Now we're just a couple of weeks on, having a spin round here, and she was super. She jumped a lovely clear inside the time on the cross country at Bucart Farms in Atlanta, Georgia. And she is having a nice spin round here, so this could be a really good end to their year.
Very easy work at this part of the track. It's been quite efficient round so far.
Lovely expression on this mare's face as well. She looks like she's one of those that would get down and dig deep for you.
You know, and as you say, not the biggest height, but again, you can be so quick on little nippy horses like this.
It's a bit like your horse, you know, that you rode, and you felt that really dug deep for you today. And you know, it wasn't the quickest, but we weren't expecting you to go quick because he'd been off colour and a bit peaky. But you know, he just looked really happy out there.
Yeah, we had a bit of a school, but sometimes those are the times that you learn the most about him, or not the most competitive rounds. And I chose not to run him like that, but really actually learned a lot about the horse. That you know, he's a good jumper, but he can be a little bit of a cheeky pony sometimes, and he really, really, really tried. And just
so gold medal to him. And when the chips are down, that's when you want them to
absolutely.
To try.
That's when you can tell a lot about a person's character as well.
You can. There are some that go to bed, and there are some that get up there and carry on. Well, jumping really nicely through the open oxer and corner, and coming now to the white bridge. Ariel Gold and In Vogue.
She's just been making this look like child's play, though. We haven't really had much to say because it's been so nice.
It looks lovely, and she looks like such a fun little mare to ride too. Just now pricks her ears, spots the log, jumps in, sees her landing, and presses up to the corner.
And yes, she took the flag, but no problem there. It was clearly in between the line, and she's quite quick actually to that rail and then to the little golf tee.
You got that done very quickly.
And then just a few more to get home as you just weave your serpentine your way back towards the finish flags.
And then this looks, I was going to say, it could be Sarah Beth, is it?
It is Sarah Beth, because I'm only doing that by process of elimination.
Okay, Sarah Beth Anton and Legionnaire, a 9-year-old, and they start with a two-phase score of 41.2. Had one rail in the show jumping added to a 37.2 dressage.
It's so interesting to see how different that rides for this division versus the long. And the difference is the long horses that jump the same combination were sent far into this back field. It really opens up their step. You have, another minute and a half of galloping. And it's amazing. You walk a line, it doesn't change the distance, but the horse's step will change dramatically from the beginning of the track to the end.
So Legionnaire jumps through the double brush, and Arrowhead comes now towards this far end of the track. We just hopefully will get a glimpse of them as they gallop past us from our right. They're coming down to the tricana now in the tree line. Ditch underneath, and since the heavy rains has filled up with water, so it adds another dimension. But at this level, intermediate level, and you're always training the horses to keep their eye line fairly high. Yes, they need to lower their head and neck at certain times, but really training them to keep their eye line high. They're not looking into the bottom of the ditches, and that's what we have to, as riders, try and train our eye high as well, that we're not looking down into those great big yawning ditches. A little bit like with those arrowheads, the bull noses. Everybody gets so fixated on the fact that they're so narrow, but actually what you're jumping is up between the flags is quite wide. And if you just concentrate on that and take away the front dimension, it's a normal fence.
Yeah, you almost think of it as an optical illusion, and if you make yourself look at it with a soft eye on the top, you you don't have to line up perfectly to those. And the horses don't view them that way, actually. They jump them really well from the side. And
Yeah, they do. Sarah Beth Anton then jumps out over the corner. We can see her out of our window. This is the only time we ever get to see live horses, just at this part of the course.
This thing has a real hind end on it. She got a little close to the table going into that field there, and it just really kicks up behind.
So just coming back to the water, big fallen tree in. Sarah Beth Anton sits in the middle, sees her stride and moves up to her stride. He's got a very powerful back end, hasn't he? And just talking about this horse, he is 9, but you can imagine when the front end meets the back end.
Yeah, and that's, I would always prefer to have a really powerful hind. You can train the front end a lot easier than the hind end.
Yeah.
And this horse obviously plenty of scope, plenty of power, so it knows where it is in the air.
So that at the start is 1, 2, 6, which is Anna Losciavo and Fernhill 1 too many, 33.4 dressage, nothing to add in the show jumping. A score in for Conor Rollins and Prime Target, 18 time. And Ariel Grold in Vogue, clear inside the time.
We called that one.
Yeah, no jumping, no time penalties for the little mare. Well, our latest starter is Anna Losciavo, but the one that started before her was Briggs Surratt and Booming Bodran, owned by Rick Wallace. The 8-year-old, they had a refusal at fence 4, which is the ditch and brush, and then missed fence 6, which is the root ball, which is the log after the table before the gate corner. So I think, sadly, he's been eliminated, and that now confirmed on our screen.
I wonder if they're going to go back home and build this ditch and wall now.
Yeah, I think quite a lot will. You can see that it's got a prop up against the 4-star wall because it was flattened earlier. It is a movable wall. But yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few. The 2-star earlier, I mean, it was refusal after refusal after refusal, and I go back on my WhatsApp group, and it was just at 5, at 5, at 5, at 5, at 5. It just caused trouble after trouble after trouble. So this is Anna with Fernhill 1 too many. One of the last to go. Got a number of late entries.
Again, this horse is super ride so far.
8-year-old. So 1 inside the time. Sarah Beth Anton, Legionnaire, their home, 11.6 time penalties and finishes on 52.8. The leader on 30.8, second 52.8. So it is a whole 22 marks. Separating 1 and 2 at the moment. There are horses that can go into that mix. So as Anna comes down to the frangible table, jumps the mim table at 9, now comes the lifeguard hut and water. Nice tight line into that fence, into the water. She trusts him, clearly.
Yeah, and I think you can get away with that here in the intermediate, just because they aren't so open. You've just done that roll back to the little cabin there, and yeah, I mean, even just for an 8-year-old, she definitely knows this horse, and look how beautiful it is there with the sun setting on the water. I bet the photographers are eating up the pictures right now.
Yeah, it's not as dark as the cameras are making out either. That looks like we are needing torches, and we're not. That is more like the light that we've got. We're fast approaching 25 to 5. I know that Americans struggle with the English interpretation of time, so it is fast approaching 4:35.
Thank you very much. I have to do math every time. I would say Anna looks like she is going to be quite quick on the clock thus far.
Yeah, she does. She's not hung around, but then, she knows she was lying in second going into the cross country, having jumped a super clear in the show jumping. And out there having a ball.
And as is he.
Yeah.
It's a lot quiet. Looks like it's a lot quieter out there. I think most people are starting to roll into the VIP pavilion area, getting ready for a fun planned evening of a band and comedy show.
Comedy and
yeah.
music. They've really gone to town. There's a lot of people still arriving, just looking out of the window, as Anna Losciavo and the lovely little Fernhill 1-2 coming round on this corner to the Oxer and corner.
Yeah, and Anna definitely is not looking to waste an extra second. You saw her come to that frangible table and put quite a severe angle on it, left to right, and I mean, that is how you end up being quick on the clock. It's not just being fast, but it is knowing from one jump to another and looking back as you're walking the track exactly what the most efficient line is from each one.
And looking back on a fence can give you another completely different dimension
Totally.
to where you come from to a fence.
Sometimes I'll do that and then I'll have to look on Google Maps and try and see if I'm actually correct in what my feel is. I'm a little directionally challenged, though.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I mean, she is... Oh, no, that's so unfortunate. Oh, what a bummer. She's having a great round, and, you know, maybe it just came in a little quick to that, like was quite direct in the water, and I think it surprised them. They weren't quite right on the distance, and, I mean, that is why we have that technology, because it does save what could be quite a dramatic fall is just a frustrating 11 for her. I know she'll be kicking herself for that, and then we'll take the 20 for the circle.
Yeah, well, this isn't Anna. Anna we've just seen. So this is now coming towards the beginning.
This is Noah.
Alexander
Alex.
O'Neill.
Yep. Sorry, Alex.
Alex with Creative Genius.
Alex also, you know, a great cross-country rider, does a really good job producing horses up through the level, and he and his wife run a great operation just 2 hours away in Ocala. And it's nice to see him back out here. I actually was laughing yesterday because I was passing him when he was doing dressage and had a young horse that went to go itch his nose, and you could see him trying to make sure it didn't do it in the free walk, and he started I started cracking up watching him come across the diagonal. So he's a great guy. He's very well liked, and they do a fantastic job with their operation.
Well, I'm glad one person's watching. I've just had somebody message and say, your microphone, you sound miles away from the microphone. Sorry.
Are we here? I think it's because we had the dramatic window experience.
Issue. Well, when you were about to commit Harry Carey, then kamikaze.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. So Alexander O'Neill and Creative Genius, they had a dressage score 37, 8th after the first phase, 2 down in the show jumping. They started 45.0. And on their way to that, again, frangible table. That's on a yellow mim clip. You can just see the yellow mim clip down, halfway down the leg. And then more frangible fences coming at the open oxer and corner around the back of this live oak. And jumps the corner. It is beautiful going out there. I mean, you emulated to that earlier on, but the irrigation system is the whole way around the course. The drainage is the whole way around the course. 2 feet in some places they've raised the ground, because if you go, you can't go down, because if you go down you hit water. So they've raised it, and it is just phenomenal. The work that's gone into this amazing new venue.
Yeah, and I mean, raised it and done a really good job with it. Sometimes with new turf, you worry about it not being established, but they have gone above and beyond to really try and make this going as good as it possibly can be and really trust the ground, and I thought it felt amazing to go out there on today.
We've got someone from Horse and Country, the official team, who's just said, "You sound great to me," and
is that because they couldn't hear you?
And great commentary too, both of you.
Oh, good, we get an A+.
Well, just coming now into the first water. This is Noah Stan Lask, with Chesterfield. Chesterland, let's get it all right. Flummoxed. 3 fences down in the show jumping. 43.4 dressage. Noah, Stan Lask and Chesterland go away from that first water.
And now if you click on that horse, so I'm curious if this horse is maybe a homebred of Bruce Davidson, who hails from Chesterland Farm and adds the Chesterland to all of his horses' names.
We will find out for you. Ask and it shall be done.
Or someone that's just trying to be an imposter.
Maybe.
You know, you usually can tell the stamp of a thoroughbred out here because they have their ears pricked, and it just makes such easy work of going across the ground.
No, can't see any information apart from the fact that it was bred by Bruce Davidson. So Chesterland, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. I know more than all the horse details.
So the sire innkeeper, bred by Bruce Davidson Senior. We saw Bruce at Maryland. He looked so well.
Oh, that man is, he just
the legend.
Unreal. Yeah, it is. I would never want to be in a fight with him because I would put money on him. He is a fighter. He is a tough guy, and that is why he is one of the best that has come out of this country. He's a legend, and saw his son earlier today out here riding around. It's great to see him back at Maryland. Unreal.
Yeah, it really was. So as we just catch up with, that looks like Rory Frangos and Victor BZ coming towards these 2 fences on the far side. Rory starts with a dressage 35.41. No, clear in the show jumping, starts in 3rd. So this could be one that could go into 2nd place. Can't challenge the leader, that is Ariel Grohl. She will win this open intermediate with In Vogue. She was clear inside the time.
Certainly doesn't look to be hanging around here either.
Yeah, the only one inside. Alexander O'Neill, Creative Genius, was 1 second over. 6 minutes and 13 seconds of the 6 minutes and 12 optimum. He finishes in 2nd at the moment, 45.4. But this little lady could go into 2nd place.
Oh, there we see one in the 4. Yeah, so that's what we were talking about earlier in the 3-star. You saw she was on quite a tight inside line there. And I don't think, maybe that wasn't her plan, but the horse definitely thought it was. And in being on that line, that was actually the easier effort for the horse than adding up one in the water that already takes away your power in there.
Yeah, she's about to come through the trees to the Dracana at 13. In fact, has jumped the Dracana now to the double brush and wedge. It's the double brush and wedge, then the Dracana.
Looks like this horse is wearing a crown when its bonnet flips up. I love it. It's getting towards the end of the day, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So at the Dracana, stands well off that as well. He's really jumping out of her hands at a couple of the fences, but that is just his keenness and wanting to get on with the job. She's able to ride the canter. He's got a fairly good self-preservation button. It just says, hang on a minute, or I'm off.
Yeah, and that's where you saw it just catch up with Anna towards the end of the track as the horse got more open, and eventually there isn't that one less, and especially when you're coming to something that's not a table out there. So I always like to do a little how Bori does here is put a little dog leg in a turn, so you're still efficient, but you give yourself some options on the distance there. You don't have to always take the only thing you feel like you're stuck into.
Well, the news is that Leslie Law did have 2 more horses to ride. He's withdrawn Lady Chatterley after the show jumping. She jumped clear, didn't do the best dressage. She got quite excited in the dressage yesterday. So he has withdrawn her. He's just got Typically Fernhill left to ride. He's ridden Countess Cooley And a score just in for Noah Stanlask and Chesterland, bred by Bruce Davidson, as we found out. 7.6 time penalties into 7th on 63.
Big jump in.
Oh,
that's just too bad, you know. Such a big effort in. It makes it really hard to get the horse back after you land in there. You know, you ideally want to find something that's a little bit deep so the horse can wrap itself around, create a little more shape. It gives you some more options to get the horse's just attention back on that corner.
Well, that was really disappointing. It just seemed there as she came in that, I mean, the corners...
Oh, so interesting. She chose to represent that. There is a black flag option there, which is the angled rail off to the left. You know, and whether sometimes you just forget to look at that as a rider, and sometimes you choose to try and school it again with a horse. But once you have a run out like that, it is a little bit hard to come back from.
Well, here we have Jonathan Holling with Fernhill Copain with the dressage 36. Nothing to add in the show jumping. Lovely clear round earlier. Jonathan safely through the water. We'll let you know what happens to poor Rory. She's had 2 at 90, and in fact, I don't think she may have walked that.
Right.
Because she's now retired after 2 refusals. So 20 for the first, 40 for the second, but she has now retired. That's a really disappointing end to their rounds. So Jonathan Holling quickly through the double brush and wedge at 12.
I have to say, he may have always done this, but I haven't really appreciated John riding with white gloves on cross country. So either he packed lightly, or maybe his wife Jen is, you know, just changing up his outfit for him, or he's trying to show off his very still hands to us.
This is a Zankerscheid 7-year-olds. Just coming to the narrow, as in from left to right, but wide, as in front to back, Oxer before the arena fence. So they're jumping now the identical carbon copy of the barns here, which I'm not going to rub it in. You don't know anything about.
I don't, actually. You know, they're pretty. I did get to move into one for a day, then, yep, haven't seen them since.
But a carbon copy of the barns here. There's 2 more going up, apparently, where the 4-star stabling is.
Isn't that wild?
Shortly.
They are beautiful, and I've never seen temporary, well, permanent stabling, but for the competition horses that have ceilings like these do. They're so high and so well ventilated, and the horses can hang their heads out if you want. I mean, it just, there is no detail that has not been thought of at this facility.
No. So Fernhill Copain coming now to the water on the return. Gets a little reminder from John Holling to pay attention. I'm just thinking he's got a double rein on. I find it hard enough with one.
Maybe his gloves are special for 2 reins.
2 reins.
I actually love it. See, you know, I love 2 reins.
Do you?
I do, because I love riding off of a snaffle and having a normal feel. And then on a horse that maybe needs a little extra leverage, but you don't want to overbid it, you just go to that second rein. And it's something you have to practice for a long time.
That's far too much to think about in one go.
Maybe it just distracts me from the other stuff.
What the size of them.
Exactly. Got to think about what rein I'm holding.
And here is Leslie Law. And I think he will be our last to go. Leslie, with typically Fernhill, starting on 36.6 and 1 down in the show jumping, so 40.6. Typically Fernhill, owned by Craig McCallum, another horse owned by Craig, an Irish sport horse, and 11-year-olds, this Bay Gelding.
You know, it's great to watch Leslie ride. I mean, he looks like he's out there just schooling a novice horse. You rarely see him have to work very hard, even on these greener horses he's bringing up through the levels.
Sickening.
It's annoying, isn't it?
You're really annoying.
Because he also, as we said, he's you know, been helping our emerging group and spends a lot of time overseas with our developing athletes. So he's not getting nearly as much saddle time as everyone else, but it's always been pretty slick.
Yeah, and able to ride in slow-mo.
Any speed.
Yeah, any speed. So John Holling coming to the final fence with Fernhill Copain. 2 Fernhill horses out there at the end of the course is one, and coming towards the end of the course is another. Now John Holling could go into second place.
Do you think he jumped the last fence like that just to show off for us? Because
What,
he
with
never
one hand?
used the whip. He just held his
Waved,
hand out. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he probably just wanted to show us that he can ride with 4 reins to hold in
one
one
hand.
hand.
So Leslie Law, typically Fernhill, coming now towards the table. Looks like Leslie planning to jump this across on the angle.
That's how you save a few seconds.
Yep. So as he comes down to the oxer, the frangible oxer and corner. Fernhill.
I like the flow of that for the intermediate a bit better. That line was a little hard for the 3-star horses earlier because you gallop all the way down to the end of that field, and that combination comes up as a bit of a surprise.
By Dundoctro, typically Fernhill, bred by Jim O'Neill, and just jumping themselves into the final water, gets the corner nailed. We'll go back to the scores, and John Holling does go into second on 44.4. 8.4 time penalties added to his dressage, and will finish no worse than second. No, could be third if Leslie Law can go inside the time. We've seen him shave off a few seconds on the turns on the corners.
Sure did, and the horse was full of running here in the end. You know, and he gave a class ride through that water. We've seen a few that haven't been quite as good, but when he gets the horse to a bit of a deeper distance, the horse is able to wrap itself around and creates a better ride for the out. You have a lot more options when they're not landing quite as far out into the water.
And he'll be appearing from stage right in just a few seconds up towards the stabling, which is for the 4-star on the left. Those are the temporary mini paddocks that have been put out for the horses as well. I mean, just everything has been thought of.
Yeah,
So,
you get really spoiled here.
Yeah.
they do a very
Yeah.
nice job.
And hopefully you'll get to enjoy it next
One day.
year.
One day. Will he do it?
Yeah, will he go inside the time? He has a quick check of the watch. Leslie Law and typically Fernhill, owned by Craig McCallum, jumps that final fence and completes our open intermediate. And it's just one time left to bring you for Leslie for Great Britain. Tomorrow, the trot up starts at 8 o'clock. I think we're live streaming that. Don't take that for gospel though. And then it is the 3-star show jumping. That starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, with the 4-star starting at 11:45, the 2-star at 1:25 to 2:40, and the 1-star is from 3:30 to 4:10. They are provisional times. Do check the official website, which is terranova.equestrian.com, and you can find all the times on there. Do check social media as well. Horse and Country TV, it is live streamed on there, so do go and check that out. And Leslie Law does go second by 1 penalty over John Holling. So it is Great Britain's Leslie Law and typically Fernhill finishing second on 43.4. The results of the Open Intermediate: Ariel Gold wins with In Vogue on 30.8. Second, Great Britain's Leslie Law, typically Fernhill, 43.4. Jonathan Holling, Fernhill Copain, third, 44.4. All of those in second, third and fourth, 2 marks splitting them. Alexander O'Neill, Creative Genius, in fourth place, 45.4, with Sarah Beth Anton, Legionnaire, rounding out our top 5 on 52.8. Lynn, you've been incredible.
Oh, well, so have you. You've done a lot more talking than me today.
Thank you so much for stepping in. The very best of luck for show jumping tomorrow. You may get a text tonight just to see what you're doing tomorrow as well, because you'd be more than welcome back in here. It's been great having you. But what a day of cross country. I mean, the team must be, the Herrigs must be, everybody must be so thrilled.
They have to be. And, you know, talking about how many clips were on all these jumps, we was saying that may be a lot of work for the guys out there today. But actually, it was a great day of sport today.
It really was.
It was really good.
I think there will be a few diggers digging ditches and brushes. There are the results of the Open Intermediate after the cross country. Ariel Grohl wins for the USA. In Vogue, 30.8. Leslie Law second, typically Fernhill, 43.8. With John Holling in third. Fernhill Copain, 44.4. Very, very close in the markings. It was all about the cross-country time, and only one inside the optimum time was Ariel Grohl and In Vogue. One of the fastest of the day, 6 minutes and 7, with that optimum time of 6 minutes and 12. Well, that's it. That's all from us today. Cross Country Day is now over. It is all about the coloured poles in the show jumping tomorrow, and we hope that you can join us for all of that action, because it will be a real nail-biting finale. 12 riders in the two-star are separated by one fence in the show jumping, and not one fence separating those in the four-star. It is that close, and the three-star as well, even closer. It is 28 and then 32. So one fence in the three-star, and in the four-star, it is only 0.2 that separates Lucien Bellissimo and Jenny Carras. Again, the win could come from anywhere, because one fence down is very, very expensive. So from myself, from Lynn Samansky, from Karen O'Connor, and from Sinead, I will still want to say...
She just goes by Sinead. You can just leave it as that.
Can I? She's that famous. We can just go Sinead. Sinead... Maynard. Sinead Halpin, that was. All of my guests have been brilliant. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And join us tomorrow for the show jumping. Whew, what a day. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Good night.